Welcome to the Constance Lov Johnson Show. I am here to provide you with a new, exciting understanding of legislature, uh, just to make sure that you are completely aware of all the work that is done by our U.S. legislature. And we'll delve into other governments across overseas and look at some other countries and compare our congressional activities and bills, laws to other nations' work. And you'll get an idea of how beautiful our country is and how free we are to engage and make the changes we need to make to benefit women, to benefit ethnic groups, to benefit our children. And today, I want you to know that we're focused on the Black American organizations, businesses, schools. We're talking about everything Black today. Now, the show is really for the education of North Carolina and the education of the nation. And we focus on all types of issues and topics. But this particular day is preparing our Black Americans to engage more in government, to receive greater opportunities and benefits from our government. And our U.S. government is one of the wealthiest in the world, and it's a shame that we are not more actively engaged in contracting, in making grants or receiving grants, and lawmaking in general, rulemaking. We have a tremendous amount of engagements to do, and this is not the beginning for everyone. Of course, we have powerful legislators that will be mentioned during the show that keep us informed and keep us engaged in protecting our citizens, in keeping them wealthy, and engaging them in business opportunities. So this is the show that focuses on Black Americans, giving you different lists of where we are today so that we can converse about them and make better decisions about where we want to go. I call it the top. Now, of course, I provided you with a PowerPoint as I usually do on ConstanceLovJohnson.com. And I want you to take some time. I think page 1 and 2 have been switched around somehow, but look at that list that provides the full number of issues that we're covering today and just move the slides around to suit them. If you see that they're out of the first one and the second one out of order, just go to the second one, and then when we finish with the second one, go back to the first one. And I apologize for that. I'm usually dead on when it comes to organization, but for some reason, technology today is kind of out of sorts. So we don't ever let anything stop us. We don't let technology stop us. We don't let people stop us. We don't let issues stop us. We are people who care about the organization of our nation, organization of our state, the fairness and justice of our state, nation, and we move always to make sure that those are in place, regardless of the obstacles that stand before us. So let's start with, I hope you have the PowerPoint. It's the picture of the first PowerPoint, or the issue of the PowerPoint on the top of the page is pictured there. So just click on the link under it and it'll bring you to the PowerPoint on Google. But what you need to do is either upload it and look at it from your own computer, or look at it from Google Drive. Either is fine, as long as you can see the words. So the first topic is populations. Now, if populations is not there, go to the second page, you'll see it there. And we'll call out the titles of each slide. Okay? So the first slide focuses on populations, and the reason why we're focusing on Black populations today is because we need to know where the most accepting and culturally aware cities are for Black Americans. Which cities cater best to Black Americans and provide better opportunities? New York is number one. New York City is number one. Number two is with 20 million Black Americans there. Atlanta, Georgia is second with 6 million. Chicago, Illinois is third with 9 million. And I think they're a little, they're going in the odd direction, but I'm going to just list 10 of them for you. I'm going to recite 10. Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Houston, Texas, and Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, Miami, Florida, Detroit, Michigan, and Los Angeles, California. Those are the top 10 cities that are welcoming and accepting of Black Americans. And this is where you want to travel, you want to invest. We want to invest in all of the cities across the nation that provide beautiful services and provide a diverse feel for African Americans, for Black Americans, to taste ethnic foods, to shop for our clothes, to if you want to feel your culture in full bloom, these are the cities you want to go to. You want to go to New York, Atlanta, Chicago, Washington, Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Miami, Florida, Detroit, Michigan, and Los Angeles, California. Our top political issues are hair. It's very important for employers these days to accept the ethnic hairstyles. We have gone back and forth throughout the decades talking about it, but we're getting there. I think they understand how important it is to be diverse these days, so our corporations are more accepting of what we choose to do as ethnic minorities. Hair is very important to the Black community because these are our most successful businesses. Barbers and hair designers in the Black communities are some of the wealthiest people in our communities. So hair is very, very important, and being able to be free and do what we want with our hairstyles is extremely important. Dyeing hair in these unique colors is also something that is new, and that is across all racial groups. Everyone loves green hair, blue hair, so please understand that that is an issue. Voting is number 9 here, but it really is number 1, I believe. Voting determines who walks in that legislature with your issues to make sure they're at the top of the list and make sure that they're taken seriously. We joke and have fun, and we engage in laughter. Some of our greatest, most wealthiest citizens in the Black community are entertainers. So we do love to joke and laugh and have fun, but voting is very serious. It's something that you do to make sure that whoever walks through that door will best represent your best interests, will stand up when no one else will stand up and state exactly what needs to be said directly after meeting with you and determining what's best for the community and what's best for Black Americans, to send someone who will state it in a way that makes a difference, to put those bills forth to become law. Utilizing our government agencies and state and federal administrations. Black Americans have been charged with using the government to live off of. That's not true. Every citizen needs to pursue government for business contracts, for organizational grants, for from all of the different agencies. Agencies offer different types of contracts and grants for different reasons. And it's very important not to assume that to work with the government, to receive contracts and grants from the government, to receive any funding from the government for child care, for any type of problem or issue you have. I want you to know that you are expected to do that. All races of people do this. Our government is there to keep everything flowing with stability. And you are an American citizen and deserve the same rights. So whatever funds are allocated for your particular problem or issue, please take full advantage of it. You're expected to do that. Intellectual property protections. Black people in this country have developed some of the most innovative and functional entities and gained great wealth and provided great wealth to the nation. Our inventions travel around the world. We need to engage more in importing and exporting instead of selling it to a company. This is what we do as Black Americans. We create a beautiful innovation and we sell it to a company instead of building a company around the innovation and selling it ourselves as partners and sending it overseas to sell. We need to become more active in the global marketplace, and we need to develop more businesses. And that is, I believe, the next issue. Let's see, well, it's not, it's further up. The next issue is health equity. Make sure that you stay abreast of new innovations when it comes to health, and make sure that everyone in your family is protected under your health insurance plans, and do everything you can to keep your body healthy by taking your vitamins, exercising, going to your doctor annually, going to your dentist every 6 months or every year, at least every year, to keep your eyes, your mouth, your body in top shape. And that is what is critical for us. Doctors are the most advanced when it comes to understanding how we survive through illnesses, and we shouldn't be afraid of them. We need to go and get their advice, and women, Black women especially, get your pap smears and get your breast exams. Those are important to long life and healthy long lives. Communications, access to the internet. We have right now a communication system that reaches a person in 2 seconds, not even 2, 1 second, to communicate with someone. We have social media that provides that type of communications. We need to always be engaged in communications, engaged in that type of technology. We lack organizations and businesses that understand how these social medias work, and we need to be more advanced in social media and communications. Our newspapers are dying. Our internet system is becoming our only source of communications. So let's make sure that we understand how they function, how they run, to advance our communications between each other as Black Americans. We need to always understand that some laws are being denied, and to communicate that, we need a source that is effective. And when we need to galvanize for any reason, we need to make sure that we have a good, clear comprehension of how these technologies were developed to create our own, to communicate amongst ourselves and privately if we need to. I'm always thinking of the Jews in Germany and how they trusted so deeply the government they lived in, and the government sought their complete extinction. It was genocidal, the genocidal efforts of Germany really took a good percentage of the Jewish population away from this planet. And we have to always remember that everyone is not people, not everyone can be trusted. And when we accidentally put someone in these high offices in a government position, that is the presidency or these prime ministers in other countries, we have to make sure that there is a way for us to communicate. We have the greatest president we could have in this era right now, President Biden. This is someone we trust wholeheartedly. He has made it clear and succinctly that through his appointments, you can see that he seeks diversity. Through his work with President Obama, you can see that he is a humble man and serves without any prejudice or racism. And we all have our moments, but this is a man that we have seen through many years that we can trust to put forth his best possible effort to absolutely everyone, regardless of race. But we have had, other presidents that have not been as trustworthy and have created executive orders to do the same thing that happened in Germany to us. So we need a system of communications always to make sure that we are not put in a position of danger. It can happen again, and it happens around the world now. The next issue is education. Education is not only the road to a better job, the road to college, to vocational training, but education is the road to understanding how the world works and understanding how to solve problems, understanding how to best put forth bills and laws to keep our nation just and equitable. So this is very important. This issue is one of the most important. That's why it's on this list. But education is how I fine-tune the gifts that I have. We have gifts. Some of us can do medicine. Some of us can write bills. Some of us that become law. Every bill written become law. Some people are that talented. Some people have gifts to sing, play instruments. Whatever gift you have inside of you, education brings it, harnesses it, and builds it like a flower so that it grows and impacts the world. Music impacts the world. Bill making, law making impacts the world. Medicine impacts the world. And education allows that to happen. Education allows us to study our historical leaders in our field and to move us to a higher level of understanding of that field. Childcare is something that is very important to everyone, really, not just Black Americans. But Black Americans have to be very careful when it comes to childcare. We have our sons are being targeted on the streets, just walking down the street. And we have to be very careful about letting them walk alone too early. Teenagers that appear to be very mature are not completely knowledgeable of all that can happen in a day when you're not following instructions, when you're not coming home at the time that you've been attended to or instructed to come home. So these are simple, basic issues that pertain to child care, but Black Americans, we have to be especially careful, and we have to make sure that we build and provide child care instead of simply taking our children somewhere. We need to build more child care centers, more child care programs. And I would recommend that we focus on child care right now because there is a law that's being passed right now, an act that provides added funds, millions, if not billions of dollars, added funds to pre-K, which means we will have the revenues to build new child care facilities if you apply for those grants, if you apply for those contracts. If you go to Black Legislative American Caucus or BLAC on Facebook and join that page, we're providing right now information that leads you to the US FCR, which is where you submit your contractual information, secure your vendor numbers to apply for contracts. So as Build Back Better is enacted through President Biden, before the funds are released, you'll already have your information submitted and ready to apply for contracts to build your pre-K program. We are in the business of making sure that all entities that need to be built for this coming electric age, for this coming educational advancement through the two plans that are coming out from the Biden administration, Build Back Better and the bipartisan infrastructure plan. They have all types of opportunities in them for grants and contracts, but you need to be registered. You need to have your vendor numbers. You need to have your company presentation ready so that all you have to do is send them in and they review your work and assign you a project or provide you with the funds for the project that you're proposing. I look forward to seeing you on that page. And it is Black, BLAC, Black Legislative American Caucus. We're in the business of growing the economy and unifying Black businesses to partner at least 20 businesses for support, to build new businesses together and to support your existing businesses. So I look forward to seeing you on the page. Marriage is the next issue. Marriage is very important to the Black community. We have been through a tumultuous history that in some ways were an incentive to avoid marriage. There were bills written that and made into law that provided funds to single women and single women with children. And to receive those funds, you couldn't be married. And it caused kind of a fracture in our marriages. All types of influences have impacted our percentages of marriages. And it's time to start marrying again. And it's time to start looking at two working together instead of one working alone. Two working together will never, ever serve as an impediment as being a single person trying to make it through this world, make it through this life as in comparison to two. Two is better than one. There's no way around it. So make sure that you consider marriage and make sure that you make the agreements and settle on the agreements between you before you marry, and stand by those agreements once you're married so that your marriage can last and sustain. Economic equity, business, innovation, and development. This is number one on the list. We need businesses. I would say every state that has 13% or more in population needs about 25,000 businesses, just to make sure that you have the hiring power, the power to hire, and to make sure that you have the support and the league of business leaders that can stand by you so that you can grow the revenues that are needed to sustain the businesses, to keep the businesses growing. Doing this type of work, opening a business, takes a lot of planning. The foundation has to be extremely strong because today, the internet is causing all kinds of fractures to businesses. But if you build your foundation so that it is ethical, just, and sound, and produces effective results, and you have a record of this company producing effective results. If you have new ideas and you built something similar or built a company before that did have a good, strong foundation with great support from elected officials, from leaders in the community, this is what you want to present. And this is what will be a great source for the state. If you make sure that you, again, partner 20 people that you greatly admire in business or as leaders of organizations, and of that 25, I said 25,000, but I meant 2,500. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. 2,500 businesses per state that have a population of 13% or more of Black Americans. That state needs 2,500 businesses. And we need to make sure that, I'm saying it wrong again. I'm going to fix it. 25,000 businesses are needed for each state. And that comes to 2,500 partnerships of 20. That's what I'm saying. So remember to partner 20 people in your state and keep your meetings consistent. And it's important to compete. You're going to compete. But the objective is never to steal intellectual properties. If you feel someone has come up with a great idea, we're not going to steal that idea, because the reason why people lose businesses, sometimes they'll grow it real strong, businesses they steal and intellectual properties they steal. They'll make a lot of money, but that money will hurt you. There is more to this world than we know. Some people do know that there's more to this world than we know, but when you steal someone's idea or steal someone's business, you cripple that business, especially if you're in government. Because when the government provides the same business you're providing free of charge, you cripple the businesses that are needing to charge to sustain, to survive. So we're not going to steal from each other. No intellectual property thefts. Great ideas are partnered. If I see that you have a great idea that I'm interested in, and I think it's a fantastic idea, I'm not going to steal it from you, because I did not receive the vision. You received the vision, which means you will bring that vision to fruition. I will ask if I can partner you, and we can sit down and negotiate a partnership to make sure that our business is successful. That's how we will work. From now on, throughout the future, we're not going to steal from each other, because it will lead to total destruction of any possible economic growth we can have. These ethics that we live by matter, and they bring out a whole new world or a rotten world. I would rather have a brand new, beautiful, ethical world to live in than one that you can't, or instead of living in one where you can't mention your company or mention your idea without people stealing it. That's not a world I want to live in. So let's work hard on trying to make sure that we're ethical and honest. And we are ethical and honest. We just need to build more businesses. We need to build more businesses. Black Americans are the most honest people on earth. When we looked at the prison systems, when I studied the prison systems, I found that 96% of Black Americans that were arrested based on cannabis. That's and now cannabis is being legalized. So 96% of the prisons that hold Black Americans are going to have to release them. So we are very honest people, commonly in the church, serving the church, and we are going to build some beautiful businesses together, and we're going to build some successful businesses together. Our top Black politicians are Kamala Harris, Barack and Michelle Obama, Lloyd Austin, Joyce Beatty, Jim Clyburn, Karen Bass, Cory Booker, Maxine Waters, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and Raphael Warnock. And these are all federal and national figures that work diligently for Black Americans and stand for our civil rights whenever there is an attack on Black Americans for any reason, whenever there's a heightened percentage of murders from police officers, whenever there are economic challenges that are unjust in our states, Black Americans rely on these people, generally rely on these people for help, for guidance, for information. And they're all mostly in government, or they've been in government, or they've served as civil rights leaders. Our top businesses are Hightowers Petroleum Company, Urban One, a broadcasting company, the Anderson DuBose Company Food Service, Thompson Hospitality Food and Hospitality Management, Bridgman Foods, Food Service of course, Modular Assembly Innovations, which is an auto parts manufacturing company, Coca-Cola, which is a beverage company, of course you know that, Bridgewater Interiors, Automotive Seats, Act One, Workforce Management, Worldwide Technology, Internet Technology. So we have a plethora of billion-dollar companies, multi-million-dollar companies all across the country, but we still require far more. I believe since we started this effort, the Black Legislative American Caucus started this effort, there has been tremendous growth in most of the cities across the country, but we'll measure the outcome of this effort by 2024, before the presidential election, so that we can know exactly where we are when it comes to our percentages. And we'll still push our Commerce Department, our U.S. Commerce Department, to change the census data to reflect how businesses are progressing by race. Sometimes we assume that race is not important when it comes to building businesses and understanding where we are when it comes to businesses, but it's critically important. We are each racial group is an economy. We all serve a common economy, the U.S. economy, but we still have racial issues and conflict in this country. Therefore, we need to measure the progress and sometimes measure the losses through data. So we're going to ask the Department of Commerce, the Commerce Department, to return the census to its original format, which included percentages of Black businesses by town and city and state, and of course, nationally. The top richest Black communities. This is interesting. I know I just mentioned the most populated Black communities and cities, but I am also providing you with a list of the communities, the cities that are the wealthiest cities for Black Americans, or that where Black Americans are the wealthiest. Friendly, Maryland, Windsor Hills, California, Woodmore, Maryland, Mitchellville, Maryland, Baldwin Hills, California, Kettering, Maryland, Fort Washington, Maryland, Uniondale, New York, Hillcrest, New York, Ladera Heights, California. These are the richest Black towns in the country, or communities in the country, and it's very interesting to walk through one of these communities. I walked through not a top 10 community, but a top, I would say, 25 Black community. When I was in New York once, I was walking around this small town and didn't know where I was. and happened to turn the corner, and all of these big, beautiful mansions were there. And they were just amazing houses. Just the architecture, the way, the landscaping. And I just, what a beautiful, beautiful community. And then it was around 9 because I was jogging. Through this community. And all of a sudden I see black people coming out of their homes. They're going to work because it's around 9 o'clock. This is a black community. And see, this is this syndrome of, I call it the AWHT, or the AWH theory, all white heroism. Sometimes we assume when we see elegance and beauty that this has to be a white community in the United States because we struggle so much economically. But when people galvanize to build, when black Americans galvanize to lean on each other, to work together as partners or as a community, when we trust each other, show love for each other, have great faith in each other, beautiful, marvelous, spectacular visions appear right before us. That's what it takes. Faith in each other, love for each other, unity, and challenging ourselves to do bigger and better works. And this is what we're about to walk in. We're about to walk into a new era of enlightenment and a new era of great works, economic works, and I'm excited about it. The next issue, I believe that's it. I believe I've gone through everything. Thank goodness. I thought that I included one more slide, but I think I decided to take it out, and I did. So I'm going to hone back through each one from the last one to the first, just to make a few comments. But we have to start building more beautiful black communities. We have to start building beautiful, diverse, multicultural communities. And we need to start with our economic, a plan to build our economics through housing, building housing, and providing better opportunities for home ownership. And as the Black Legislative American Caucus, we can form whatever we choose to make home buying easier for black Americans. And that's what we need to do. And I promise you we will do it. I'm running for the U.S. Senate. The minute I step into that role, I have a good opportunity to unite black Americans in North Carolina and across the country. A U.S. Senator works for the country and focuses on the state that they belong to. I promise you this, we will build this economy to a greater level so that equity is the prominent feature of North Carolina. And equity will become the prominent gift and pride of the United States. We're not just going to talk about it. We're going to be an equitable nation. And that's what I plan to bring to the U.S. Senate. Economic growth and unity, not just between black Americans, but all Americans. And the love of culture and the celebration of culture so that we understand and share information that lifts us to a higher economic level, educational level. And that is what I plan to do as your U.S. Senator. These businesses that have been successful, we will sit them down and try to understand how successful they have been and what were the key elements that gave them the power and the inspiration to continue through challenges, to pursue the law, to make sure that they knew the law and everything that they needed to keep their businesses safe, to hire all of these thousands of employees that they've hired. This is what we need to learn, and we need to make sure that they guide us through this. We have to use the resources. It's called systematic learning. We have to use the resources that have already been established that are successful and lean on them to understand where we need to go from here. And I'm excited about putting these people together and letting them guide us through. We have a conference, the Black Legislative American Caucus. We have a conference through Black Community Financial next year in October that brings these people to one place to teach us what we need to know to keep our businesses successful and to gain numerous contracts from the government. And we plan to bring our commerce leader, our leaders, state and federal, to this conference to guide us through. We want Secretary Gina Raimondo there to give us a lecture on what she feels is necessary to bring a greater number, a greater percentage of contractors to the federal government, and we'll also bring our state official. We're going to also pursue our top Black politicians, is what I call them, to educate us on how legislation impacts business. We plan to do that. So those are the issues that I wanted to bring forth today, and I hope that you remember that I am running for the U.S. Senate, and I have built 20 programs that are waiting right now to be put in action. As soon as my foot lands in that Senate seat, we are going to move on these programs. Now, we're building them right now. Business programs, educational programs, programs that focus on particular issues, housing. We are going to make sure that we complete all of these projects and put them to action. We hear elected officials all the time talking about bills, but if they put forth the action, we wouldn't have any problems to write bills for. We'll always write bills that will become law. But if you educate the population on why the bill is being written and the problem that it addresses, and this law will address this issue and this law will address that issue, if you educate the citizenry about it, a lot of the problems would disappear. I am someone who works. I love putting I'm a public administrator. I love putting problems in front of everyone and working together to solve them, not just signing my bills to committees and waiting for them to approve them and then taking them to the General Assembly or to the Congress, to the chamber or both chambers to make sure that they pass to be enacted. This is something that I love doing. I do that right now. I love reading bills. I love writing them. I love engaging with the elected officials on a federal level and state level. And we'll do more by taking the bills and making sure you're in position when the bills are enacted and become law and become ready to be dispersed. The funds that are allotted are ready to be dispersed. You will be ready to receive them when I am a senator. When I am your senator, you'll be ready and prepared with full projections of what is coming down the road before it arrives. That's what I believe in. And that's what I'm doing right now through the Black Legislative American Caucus. I'm preparing Black Americans to engage more in government and to engage more in contracting and grants. And I want you to know that this is something I will do for every North Carolinian, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Jew, Arab, Indian. You will be a united working force of people that engage and enjoy each other's cultures and each other's activities and to address each other's needs. I am focusing on the Black community right now because the pandemic was really hard on the Black community. And I know that even before the pandemic, we needed economic development to ensure our growth and engagement in the global marketplace. But I will serve each and every North Carolinian in the same capacity, preparing you what's coming down the road, preparing you for the opportunities that the federal government has put forth. That's what I will do for you, and will walk with you through the work to achieve what the project entails. It's not enough to deliver news about a bill. It's important that I walk you through the bill, walk you through the law, walk you through the procedure to utilize the law for your benefit. That's a good senator, and that's what I'll do. So I will bid you adieu until next week. Remember that you can go to ConstanceLovJohnson.com to contact me. Ask me any question. My text number is 704-371-9471. You'll find that on that same page. You can ask me any question anytime, and I'll find you and address it. The best way to reach me is through text. That's a fast way to reach me. So that number is a telephone and text number. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. And I love you. I love North Carolina. And I love the United States of America. See you next Thursday.